So a few days ago, I was scrolling through my comment section, as I often do, and I came across a comment by this guy called Nick Butler, saying, have you heard of this rumour of Tyler Fayose replacing Ncuti Gatwa for Series 3 of Doctor Who? This naturally confused me, because I had no idea who Tyler Fayose was, or where this rumour came from. Now apparently, he's quite an established actor. He appeared in a recent BBC show called Phoenix Rise, 30 episodes of it. He's been in an episode of Casualty, quite an established British actor. And then I was like, okay, but that still doesn't really tell me where this came from. And then I ended up on a channel called Mr. H Reviews. Now, Mr. H Reviews seems to be the sort of channel that talks about sort of films and TV, but through this perspective of everything being woke and bad now. Safe to say, it's not my type of content. I don't like getting particularly political on my channel these days, mainly because I find it miserable as an experience. But despite my preservations, I wanted to give this a benefit of the doubt, because I saw this video called Ncuti Gatwa Fired from Disney Doctor Who Rumour, and I was like, okay, it's got 70,000 views, it might not be legit, but a lot of people seem to be thinking it is, so maybe I'll go and check this out. And so I did, and this video, to me, has no evidence in it whatsoever. I'll watch it with you, and then I'm going to tell you why I don't think this is legitimate, and why I think we need to be careful when talking about rumours to do with any sort of TV show or film. I don't want anyone to go to this guy's channel and say anything on my behalf. To be honest, he's a lot bigger than me, so chances are the reverse will probably end up happening. But I wanted to talk about this because my comments were bringing it up. So we're going to watch this together. This isn't the sort of thing I normally do, but let's see what Mr. H has to say.
Right, welcome ladies and gentlemen. Doctor Who. Apparently, Ncuti Gatwa has been fired. Interesting.
Okay, alright.
Interesting times. This is, of course, Disney's Doctor Who. It's been dead for some time.
Okay, first of all, Disney have the distribution rights to Doctor Who and can give notes as any distribution partner does. I think a lot of these channels seem to over-present and overvalue Disney's, kind of control over Doctor Who for the sake of these titles, because as far as I understand it, Disney is very much one of these companies that people love to hate. And I can't understand why, Disney, like with any big company, do some stuff that's truly horrible, and I'm not going to deny that. But it seems to me, with a lot of these videos, that in a lot of these videos, people use Disney as kind of like the big bogeyman, when in Doctor Who's case specifically, Disney aren't that involved. It's the equivalent of calling Doctor Who, prior to this point, HBO's Doctor Who, because it was streaming on HBO prior to the Ncuti Gatwa era. It's not, but for all intents and purposes, that's what this deal is. It's a distribution deal, not production.
And they have not bothered to renew Season 3 yet. Now,
they have not renewed Season 3 yet, that is true.
It was obviously a massive red flag when you had the likes of RTD, Russell T Davies, RTD the retarded.
Nice, okay, we got a nice slur 25 seconds into the video. I gotta be honest, obviously I'm trying to go into this with as an open mind as possible, but immediately not making it very easy.
Going around saying there were going to be no gaps. No gaps at all when it came to Doctor Who moving forwards. And yet now there's a huge gap.
I mean, there hasn't been yet. Series 2 or Season 15 or whatever you want to call it is still coming out 2025. There hasn't been a gap yet. We also know War Between the Land and the Sea is also coming 2025. So for all intents and purposes, there isn't a gap yet. There might be at some point in the future, but we don't know that yet.
It talked about writing Season 3. No, I'm getting to work on it. Oh yes, we're hoping to get it ready to go. By the new year, we're ready to go with that.
Also, even if we assume that Disney don't renew it, that doesn't necessarily mean that all work on Season 3 would halt. It's still the BBC's property ultimately, so they might try and look at other distribution partners, or they might just go it solo. Even if we go by the logic that Disney have pulled out of Season 3, it doesn't necessarily mean the idea of Russell T Davies writing bits of Season 3 is a lie.
Yeah, that's not really happening now, is it? There's articles that have been deleted. I've done videos on this. Well, now...
Nice big subscribe button in the middle of the screen there.
A little birdie has sent some information my way. Take this with a pinch of salt. Take this as a rumour at this point in time. But it is truly interesting, so I thought we'd take a look at it. So what's being said? Well, what is being said is that apparently, Russell T Davies, RTD the retarded, and Ncuti Gatwa are essentially at war. Big war. Not happy. Not happy at all. In fact, it's left Ncuti Gatwa fired. Allegedly. I don't know how true this is. We do know that he has left season 2, right? So season 2 is filmed and he has left season 2.
I mean, but that's the same as all actors. Like, once a series films, they don't just stick around after once a series has wrapped filming. Saying he's left season 2 is like saying that David Tennant left series 3. Yeah, he left because filming ended. I find the wording here quite deliberately vague.
After that, he's gone. He's actually gone to do a theatre performance, right? So he's
again, like David Tennant in the early 2000s, who still came back after the fact.
He's not actually around, and he's going to be there for 6 odd months. So the rumour that he's been fired, I can believe. Actually, I can absolutely believe.
I don't think that proves anything. Actors do other work in between other shows. In fact, this was a thing for season 1 as well. He was filming for Sex Education. Didn't mean he was fired. It just meant he had 2 different jobs.
But apparently they were butting heads since series 2 was filming, or season 2 was filming. Again, can I believe that? Probably, to a degree. We do know that he's allegedly in every single episode. We had heard, or I had heard, and did a report on it, apparently season 2 is better than season 1. Obviously, we know it's not season 1 and season 2 is significant.
I've not read that report, but fair enough.
More than that, but this is Disney's Doctor Who, and they love to differentiate because, well, the twats, I guess.
I mean, it probably wasn't just Disney's decision. Again, Disney would have probably influenced that decision. I have no doubt that they'd have probably wanted a fresh start for new viewers to come on. But ultimately, a lot of the major decisions for Doctor Who will come down to the BBC more than Disney.
So, allegedly, Ncuti Gatwa has had his contract bought out. So it's done. Series 3 will not be going ahead with him at all, which we did hear. It's been left open, season 2, in terms of how it ends. It's been left open to someone else coming in and taking the role over anyway, like a brand new Doctor. However, this is only hinged on whether Disney choose to re-up and basically buy him back in.
Okay, immediately. This is where... Because up until this point, right, obviously there's a couple of things I can point at, but there isn't really anything concrete that I can say, that's not how that works. But with regards to this specifically, Disney can't buy back in Ncuti Gatwa. They have no control over who is cast as the Doctor. They can give notes, they can give suggestions, they can suggest people to play the role, but they cannot themselves say, we are paying for this actor to be the Doctor. I guess they could add it as a stipulation to a season 3 contract, but the chances of them doing that to me would be strikingly low, especially if the creative team and Gatwa, for whatever reason, were in conflict. Why would Disney want to keep an actor who the production team are having conflict with? It doesn't seem like it would be in their interests or anyone else's to do that. So I don't buy that at all either.
As a condition of continued funding, which maybe they'll do it, who knows? Now this is a huge alleged, okay? This is an alleged statement. Take this with a pinch of salt. But apparently Ncuti Gatwa has been essentially talking to kids on set.
You can't just say that. I find this segment of the video particularly insidious, and it's why I kind of wanted to make this video. Because you can't just go around saying someone's spoken to kids in that way, kind of implying certain things with absolutely no evidence whatsoever. And I find it quite insidious because he's specifically using the word alleged, so he doesn't get sued, but still saying, in effect, this guy's been fired because of inappropriate conduct surrounding kids, essentially. And that leads to a barrage of conclusions being come to by less than charitable people, which we will read in the comment sections of this video. So I wanted to point that out just to kind of show the sort of underlying messaging of this video, even if, you know, it's not immediately obvious.
And smoking and essentially acting very undoctor-like whilst in costume.
We do know that there was one instance of Gatwa being told off for an Instagram video where he swore in costume it was taken down, but that was near the start of season 1 filming. We also know he smokes, but so did Tom Baker. I don't think that would realistically be an issue for the BBC.
He's been around these things, giving the set, the production, a real bad image. PR for these things is pretty much everything. If there's videos or photos of these things, or if this get out, i.e., a video or photos, it doesn't look good.
Yeah, well, nothing like that has gone out, though. Like, nothing super serious like you're suggesting or kind of insinuating with this.
So that actually resulted in Gatwa only turning up to do his scenes and then apparently flouncing off back to his trailer.
That's how film sets work. What do you think actors do when they're not in their scenes? Do you reckon they just stand in the corner like an NPC just sort of waiting? Do you reckon they just stand on set until they're given something to do? No, they go back to their trailer when they're not needed. That's not weird. And like using the word flouncing, kind of insinuating the gay thing again, it's like the undertones of this video feel quite apparent to me.
Once he's done his parts. So they just kind of wanted to get in, get out, and then, just get him in and get him out quickly so we don't have to have him around the set causing issues. And this is all alleged. Okay?
If this was the case as well, right, if Gatwa was this much of a PR nightmare for the BBC, for the set, for the production, for Bad Wolf, for BBC, for Disney, for whoever, do you really think they'd have had him doing the media circuit for all of season 1 and likely all of the Christmas special and likely season 2 as well? Surely if that were the case, they do what they did with, say, for example, Ezra Miller on The Flash, where he didn't show up to any of like the promotional events because of the ongoing controversies surrounding them. And instead, most of the kind of press tour was done by, I believe it was Sasha Calle, who was playing Supergirl around then, because obviously it wasn't a good look to have Ezra Miller. If this was such a big issue, why would they have him talking to the press, doing interviews, doing press junkets, if that was the image he was presenting? It's almost like it wasn't.
But with the production of Doctor Who the way it is, can I believe this? Yes, I can. Series 3 allegedly may go ahead without Disney, but with a new lead. The lead being, you heard it here first, Tyler Fayose. So, again, I don't know whether that is...
So this is where the Tyler Fayose thing comes from.
This is just information that's been passed to me. Tyler Fayose.
I also find it quite telling that, given that this was apparently information passed on to him, he doesn't provide even a screenshot of a message of him being told this or anything. It's literally just him going, my mate, who will remain nameless and you won't even see the words of, said this thing, trust me guys. I could make this video. I could make a video going, hey guys, I've had a source saying that Ncuti Gatwa has adopted 1,000 puppies and is giving them to orphans. I could say that, and it would have just as much basis and substantiation as this video. By which I mean, none.
Now, apparently Disney's actual financial input has been pretty nominal, with only £10,000 actually going into each episode.
If that were true, there's no way they would have the influence over the production that you're stating that they would.
Now, the rest of their financial contributions to Doctor Who has allegedly been spent on marketing. Allegedly, Sony is actually the biggest funders besides the BBC.
Sony, for those of you who aren't aware, are the ones who sort of partly own Bad Wolf. That's the main production company for Doctor Who at the moment.
Allegedly. Take this all with a massive pinch of salt. Disney are wanting to pull the plug, basically, and are totally non-committal pending the BBC negotiations, which makes a lot of sense because we've heard a lot of that from, well, I mean, the likes of this here, for instance. You know, Sony, I was going to say Sony there, but Disney, you know, no statement on, you know, new season, but hey, they're happy to have Doctor Who. Which makes...
Surely that would go against your argument here. I mean, obviously, I'd have liked to have heard something about a third season earlier than we have, but Russell has now said that we won't hear anything till after season 2. So I guess there's no point keeping going on about this until we have something one way or the other. If it comes out next year that there isn't going to be a season 3 or that Disney won't be involved, yeah, then there's something to talk about. But as of right now, we don't really have any evidence of that yet. The only evidence we've actually had is actually to suggest the reverse, that Disney are quite happy with Doctor Who, as this article that you're screen sharing suggests.
Makes a lot of sense. I mean, why would Disney come back for this given that they essentially had, zero influx of audience for this stuff.
What's the source on that? Like, have we got a piece of evidence for that? Like, have we got any numbers? No, nothing. Thought not.
Basically, nothing new was coming to them. It didn't even reach the Nielsen top 10 chart.
Okay, he does mention the Nielsen top 10. Fair enough. It is true that it didn't reach the Nielsen top 10, but if we are assuming, right, that Disney only spend, what did you say, £10,000 per episode? So that's what, 80,000 total just on the episodes. That is like a microscopic fraction of what they would spend on any other show. Obviously, I don't think it's £10,000 per episode. I think it is more than that. But I'm using his own statements here as a basis. If that's all they were paying, they would have no reason not to renew it. Because it wouldn't need to hit the Nielsen top 10 then, because it would be seen as a lower budget show. And according to the Disney leaks that we heard a while back, that is what it's seen as. With a lower level of investment comes a lower requirement of success, essentially. If you put less money into something, you don't need it to do as well for it to be deemed a success. Naturally, the bar of success for something like The Acolyte and the bar of success for something like a co-funded Doctor Who that, as this guy is saying, would be £10,000 per episode. I don't think it's that, but let's say it is going to be vastly different, right? It's going to be incredibly different.
At all. Now, this individual, Tyler Fayose, I can believe it. So this is the individual here. Tyler is known for being in shows such as BBC Studios, Phoenix Rise. He's been in some BBC stuff, right? This individual here. So I can believe him that this individual will, has the potential to replace Ncuti Gatwa. We knew ultimately when they had Jodie Whittaker take the role that they wouldn't go back to a white man. And people would argue, well, they did because David Tennant. Well, they didn't really. And even if they did just to belittle him, which they did do. So
there was like one scene where they make a joke about it and then nothing else. Yeah,
this individual, Tyler, is allegedly up for the role. And he's, he has been in BBC stuff. So, yeah. A good swapperoo, I guess. And because he has a working relationship with BBC Studios.
This guy talks so slow. I'm sorry.
Who makes...
This guy talks so slow. I'm sort of sat here like, okay, we get it. What else you got?
Doctor Who. Again, he's been in BBC Casualty in 2013. Phoenix Rise, 2023. Yeah, I can believe it. I can actually believe it.
We get it. You can believe it. You got anything else, or is that it?
There's not a massive amount of information on this individual, but he's not awful, not completely awful, but it makes sense that they would just go to that rather than anything else. So there you go.
What do you mean go to that rather than get a non-white person, essentially, is what you're saying there?
What do you think? In terms of the financial element, 10 grand an episode, don't know whether I believe that or not.
I don't. I'm going to say that right now. I think it's low for Disney. I don't think it's that low.
Because didn't they spend $100 million on it?
That's also been debunked as well. People were saying the budget for the new era of Doctor Who was 10 million episode, which would add up to around 100 million once you can count like the Christmas special and stuff. And that was pretty quickly debunked by Russell himself.
It's way too much, doesn't it? $100 million. It can't have been. Maybe it was $100 million. That is insane.
It definitely wasn't.
So there you go. Doctor Who rumours. Apparently Ncuti is fired. There's a new individual that could be Tyler Fayose or Fayose.
Okay, I think that's about it. Oh, and while we're here, let's take a look at the comments, shall we? So you've got the usual stuff. Doctor Who died in 2017. 2 narcissistic, high-maintenance drama queens have fallen out with each other. I'm shocked. Well, RTD wanted to reach a younger audience. Maybe Ncuti took it literally. Talking to kids on set, being subtle. I will now show you my shocked face. So again, people are suggesting things in the comments here without saying it directly. We all know what they're implying, but they're not saying it directly. Here's another comment that just says the quiet part out loud. A watermelon man smoking weed on set. You don't say. But they're not racist, guys. They're not racist, guys. They're not homophobic. This is just concerned people. Concerned about their favourite TV show. Keep telling yourselves that. So yeah, I hope you can tell by me doing this video, there's like absolutely no basis given to like any of this. And I'm all for talking about baseless rumours. I do it all the time. But with most rumours, it's just random things, right? That aren't really ideologically driven. With this, you can see a certain message that Mr. H here is trying to convey. This idea that Gatwa, as a gay man, was being inappropriate around children on set, despite no evidence, having to constantly say alleged so he doesn't get sued. Again, if that were the case, why would they have him on press tours? Why would they do any of that? Again, I'm not saying that if anyone believed this, you're stupid for believing it or anything like that. But I'm just saying, be wary of where information is coming from, double check things, and in this case, I'm gonna say, I don't think any of this is legitimate. If I turn out to be wrong, then hey, I'll do a follow-up saying, hey, I was wrong, and this guy was right on the money, and maybe I was too quick to judge, but as of right now, there's absolutely no evidence for any of this, and it just seems quite insidious to me to suggest things like that with literally no backing whatsoever. But what do you guys think about this? Let me know down in the comments below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you later.